Mbulavinaka Vijay, thank you very much for inviting me to your show.
Good evening, Bulavinaka and Namaste. I'm Vijay Narayan. Welcome to Fiji Village Straight Talk. This week you have sent me a lot of questions. Actually, I was just talking to the Minister for Education. You have sent hundreds of questions and no doubt education, very important topic for all of us. So thank you. For the first time ever, we've got in studio tonight, live from Waimanu Road in Suva, the Minister for Education, Asaeri Radrodro, and Sodel Palida. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation, sir.
Nawalebu Vijay Mbulavinaka, Mbulavinaka to all those listeners watching from the comfort of their home and from abroad. I say Mbulavinaka to you all, and I thank you for inviting me to your show this evening.
This will definitely not be the last time you'll be appearing, so thank you very much for saying that as well. Education, no doubt, an issue that everybody is interested in. The questions tonight are based on the stakeholders, starting from parents, teachers, principals, head teachers, everyone who runs schools, and there's a lot of schools, more than 900 of them that are mainly run by committee-run schools, school managements, and a lot of issues have been sent there based on that. And of course, stakeholders who are the students, primary school students, ECE, right to secondary school students and tertiary education. Now a lot more expansion on vocational education. We'll be talking about that as well, with a level of skilled workers that we have, and the demand for more skilled workers. So we'll go right into it. Many comments, Minister, have been made by all stakeholders in relation to our outdated curriculum in schools. What we are teaching our children is rushed and crammed only for exams. What have you done about this?
Thank you, Vijay. Before I answer that question, you give me a few minutes to just give a brief history in terms of the Ministry of Education budget allocation. I think it is proper that we share this information in terms of the budget allocation that has been allocated to Ministry of Education. Last year, 784.1 million was allocated to the Ministry of the Education sector. And for that, out of that, 627 million was allocated to the Ministry of Education, and 90.7 million was allocated to Higher Education Institute. Of these 627 million, 9 million was allocated to infrastructure development capital projects. And the allocations for the operations of the Ministry of Education for primary school teachers, about 160 million for salaries and wages. For secondary school, about 170 plus million for salaries and wages. And the allocation for social assistance given to free education grant is about 47 million. Textbook about 1.5 million. The transport assistance about 37 million and more. So these are some of the assistance that has been given to education in this last budget, increase from last year. So in terms of curriculum, yes, when we started in 2023, there were calls made regarding this issue. So we had undertaken the Education Summit program in 2023, ending up with a formulation of the Denarau Declaration, highlighting the specific areas. And this exercise was undertaken by academic experts, professionals, to give us the Ministry of Education a platform in which the areas to improve on. 7 thematic areas were identified. One was curriculum review. So this curriculum review, what was highlighted was outdated.
Very outdated.
It does not reflect the needs on the ground, especially whether students are prepared to be work ready when they finish their education journey. So currently we are in the process of reviewing a lot of documents for Ministry of Education. One is the Ministry of Education Act. It is under review to reflect the actual needs on the ground. We have the National Curriculum Framework that is currently in the process of being reviewed to address the demands and the requests and the questions that has been raised, whether how relevant is the current program, the current curriculum to the needs on the ground. So that is what we are currently doing right now.
When will it be done?
We're hoping to complete this exercise before end of this year.
The whole curriculum review and implementation?
The whole curriculum review, because it has to go through a process of validating the curriculum. So it will, the curriculum review, we hopefully to complete this year, and the validation and the actual implementation in 2026.
From year 1 to year 13?
Yes.
So your officers must be working very hard to achieve that.
They are working day and night, so to speak. They're working very hard to ensure that all these reforms and all these amendments, reviews are completed on time.
It's absolutely necessary, because some of the books you see, they don't even take into account our present day modern technology at all. You must have, as Minister for Education, you must have seen these books still in schools these days.
Yes, I've also shared my concerns with the relevant department, the CAS department, Curriculum Advisory Services, to see that how best we can bring this curriculum that are taught in school to better reflect and better prepare our students to the job market.
So new curriculum next year?
Hopefully with a review. Yes, that's our intention, but the review will have to guide us in terms of the curriculum framework and how we will have to implement and what we have to implement.
Many students are now seen not attending school, although the government has been paying for the fees. Is there anything that the ministry is planning to do to lawfully deal with the parents who are not ensuring every child goes to school?
I think the issue of parents, students not attending school is an inherited issue. It's not something new, despite the social assistance that has been given. So we have been taking visitations around schools, as you might be aware, to address this very important issue on the roles of the parents, the roles of the teachers, the roles of the students in ensuring to try to get everybody to school. Given the social assistance, as you highlighted, been provided to government, the free education grant, the textbook assistance, the $200 back to school assistance, and transport assistance. We see that a lot of students still prefer not to come to school. So it is not only a responsibility of Ministry of Education. We've always reminded the stakeholders that it takes a whole village to raise a child. So we are requesting the assistance of the Wanua, the community, the household, the stakeholders, parents, guardians, uncles, aunties. These are all responsible stakeholders to ensure that the student comes to school. And as you might be aware that currently the Ministry of Education Act is limiting the authority for us to chase students that are not coming to school. Our jurisdiction is only when students come to the school vicinity.
My concern is that there's a lot of school-age children on the streets doing drugs. We saw that you would have seen the photos on Robertson Road. We sent that to the Prime Minister. He visited that site on Saturday. The real concern of school-age children, not in school, and being most likely being neglected as well. Those kids look like they are experts at injecting drugs. It was shocking.
And hopefully, Vijay, the review of the Education Act will empower the Ministry of Education officials to extend their responsibility outside of the school vicinity. Somebody who is of eligible school age, not attending school, will empower the teachers in the school to go to the parents, to go to the house and bring those students to school. So hopefully the review of the Act will address this shortfall.
The other issue raised was it takes a village to raise a child in the right way. And of course there's a lot being talked about that. But I would say it also included in that, you said the Education Act is outdated, it takes leadership to really make sure the village is moving. And the questions are being raised, and in terms of the whole setup, whether we are starting to lose that leadership even at that village level to ensure, maybe 30 years ago, you would see even the Turangani Koro enforcing to ensure the children are in school, not that they're mucking around somewhere. I don't think they have that kind of authority anymore, or people may not even listen.
Yeah, I think it's a intergovernmental, inter-ministry effort, given that, say for Ministry of Education, one of the issues that has also been raised is because of the removal of corporal punishment, some of these students, they tend to behave the way they behave. So we are trying to work with other ministries, Ministry of Tauke's, involving leaders in villages and settlements, and also other relevant Ministry of Health, Ministry of Women and Children. So this is an inter-ministry effort to try and address students that are not attending school, who are eligible to be in school during this the end time.
Calls have been made for corporal punishment during the Education Act consultations. What are your thoughts as the Minister?
It's part of the Fiji's commitment to the UN Convention on Child Protection. So what we are encouraging them is to work within the law and not to issue or dish out corporal punishment, because it is against the law for the time being.
What's
and
the alternative?
We hope to review the current policy and work with other ministries and departments to try and bring up a strategy in how to best address the children in school.
We'll talk about the indiscipline a bit more later on in the program. The Australian government supported infrastructure assessment report found in January that 70% of our 86 assessed urban schools are overcrowded. Many need more toilets, and many schools are reaching the end of their life cycle, requiring 249 new classrooms. This is only in the Suvarnosori corridor. In Lautoka recently, we have students now from St. Thomas School studying in tents because of the termite infestation. There's concerns regarding asbestos in some schools because they just haven't been upgraded. What type of plan does you mean? I know you have come in end of 2022 into 2023, and this was waiting for you, you know. So we're not saying that you are cause of all of this, and you've been in it for about more than 2 years now. But what are you doing to fix it?
Well, first of all, we would like to thank the Australian government, DFAT, for conducting this audit along the Suvarnosori corridor. Those issues that have been highlighted are nothing new. I think if the exercise had been undertaken in all parts, the other parts of Fiji, it would have shown the same data and figures. So we thank them, and we also appreciate the assistance that they give to assist in the constructions of the new school this year. I think the process of tendering is currently ongoing, where the Wilevu Secondary School will be a new secondary school that will be constructed. Watuanga Primary School will also be reconstructed. We're just awaiting the land lease from the the Ministry of Land, and also Suva Primary School. So that is at least a start. But at the same time, we are also doing our own assessment, and with a budget allocation where we can assist in terms of improving the infrastructure, improving the facilities, then we can also work towards improving those facilities during the next budget cycle.
Education stakeholders who run majority of the schools have asked for 50% increase in the free education grant, as the current grant is insufficient. You stated in November that planning on the maintenance and development of school resources, buildings, facilities and finances are duties of school managers and committees. Now, my question is, they have come back, they were here, Ben Saladakau and Glenacy, representatives of the school management, and that's the Catholic schools, the Methodist schools, Chinese Education Society, the Arya Pratinidhi Sabha, all of them combined, and I believe they made a budget submission as well. And they're saying that for primary schools alone, the free education grant equates to less than $1 per student per day through the free education grant. Do you believe that the grant should be increased?
It's a free education grant. It doesn't stop the school to pitch in their side in terms of collections, in terms of additional support that they can give to a school. For current education grant, I think not all schools are given the same grant. There is there's an index that has been used. Schools around the Suvarnasori corridor, they receive different amount, much less amount because of the volume. The free education grant is given per child. So the bigger the number of school rolls in a school, the bigger the grant that will be given. That is why the disadvantage index probably was used. For those schools in the rural areas, they are given $230 per child per year. So that's quite a significant amount in terms of assistance that has been given to schools regarding per children. So if there's calls for increase in free education grant, I think that can be taken into consideration. But at the same time, we are reminding the school authority, the school management, that they also have a responsibility to better manage, to better utilize the funds that has been given to them. History and records have shown that most schools, they receive the grants, they use it for other purposes instead of upgrading the schools, or they use it for some other purpose outside of the school.
You said that they can do some collections. What kind of collections are you talking about?
Schools are allowed to do fundraising.
But you have limited it to one per year?
In school compounds.
So they can do...
They can do fundraising outside of school compounds without...
They're asking for flexibility in relation to that.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to...
Are you open to that idea?
Yes.
More parent involvement?
We're trying to review the one per year to maybe more than one per year, 2 or 3, one per term. But important thing is in any collections like that for school purposes, it has to be, there's some sense of accountability by the stakeholders. There's some sense of transparency in terms of collection, because at the end of the day, that will decide. Some schools are sort of basing the enrollment or continuation of their students. Because they do not perform, they are not excluded from enrolling into the next school year. So there's some sort of related elements in terms of collections to ensure that we provide the necessary...
I did ask them the question, Minister, and they are genuinely requesting, and because they're saying they're managing their funds based on what the money is allocated for, because that's under the law. If they shift the money, they're saying there's no flexibility in where you shift the funds, because they can get into trouble. The issue over here is about infrastructure, which they're responsible for, and they need to upgrade it, including library facilities and technology, on top of the infrastructure that needs to be renovated. Do you think, I'll ask you again, that there needs to be consideration, either government pays more per child, or there is an option to charge fees?
Well, we are open for any suggestions in terms of whether increasing the fee will help resolve, increasing the free education grant will help resolve the issues of infrastructure status. That is something that we will have to continue discussions on.
So when do you expect the discussion? They've asked that can schools levy fees like building fee, etc.
That's like most of them are raising these issues through the.
They have written, they have made a budget submission.
They have raised those issues during the Education Act review. So that can also be considered in the Education Act review, in the formulation of the new revised Education Act. So something that like I said, we will have to continue discussions on.
You were a former parent. We were parents at Veuto Primary School. And we came out in the weekends to make sure the classrooms were cleaned up. Yeah. And we put a hand in ourselves as parents to ensure things are done. Don't you think those kind of things should come back?
Well, I think it depends on the individual parents. And as Ministry of Education, there has to be a standard in terms of the rules that it applies. Schools in rural maritime, they have difficulties. They have their own challenges. And out of the 737 primary schools, 501 are small schools. These are mostly schools in the rural and maritime. So in terms of comparison, like I said, discussions will have to continue.
We can continue discussions, but as you said, and I'll hold you to it, you said if you look at the Suvarnasuri corridor, the school's condition, 70% are run down. Yeah. That's atrocious. Then you've said that if you do a whole assessment of Fiji, you'll get about that same figure. So 70% of our schools are in urgent need of repair. We've had schools like, for example, the one that's in Nepani. We had Ben Saladakau here who talked about the school is accommodating 800 students. It only had spaces for 400. And the parents are not coming forward to assist. So the Catholic congregation cooks beef curry and rice almost every few weeks to keep the school running. We are heading towards more disaster if it's not addressed.
Yeah, like I said, the analogy that we have to review and increase the FEG to address these infrastructure needs, we will take that into consideration and see how we can discuss with school authorities to address these.
How quickly will you do that, Minister?
We are currently during the visitation.
So you're talking to the school management?
Talking to all the stakeholders present during school visitations to see how best they can. They've also raised this during discussions, and like every request, there's cost implications. So we will have to go through the process of budget request and, if possible, donations, bilateral agreements to address these requests for 900 schools Fiji-wide. So yes.
The other question is, before we had a system of remission of fees for those whose parents earned a certain level of income and below, and the others paid a certain level of fees. Are you looking at that model as well?
I think the remission of fees is still continuing. I have to get the intimate details in terms of who is eligible and who is not.
But right now there's nobody paying fees.
There is a remission of fees paid by Ministry of Education to those students that currently need it.
So, as I'm saying, that what is holding you back from charging a small fee for parents, allowing
PTA levy?
Some things like that to help the schools.
I think most schools are...
They are allowed to?
They are already charging. They are already levying. But as I alluded to earlier, not to be used as a precondition for enrollment.
But they can charge a fee?
They're already charging.
No, I'm asking, can they charge the fee?
They are charging already.
So, like, is that allowed? You're the Minister for Education. Can they charge a fee?
They are charging already, Vijay. Yes, they are charging. So they are allowed to charge.
So they're allowed to charge.
but not to use it as a precondition for students' enrollment in a new school term.
So if they are asking to charge a building fee, they can ask people to pay, but it shouldn't be a
It
precondition.
shouldn't be a precondition or a compulsory kind of arrangement where you pay this, then you get enrolled. You can enroll, but you can probably given time to pay over the years, over the school year.
The school managements want flexibility on fundraising for the upkeep of the schools.
Yeah.
You have said that you'll be looking at that?
Currently they are allowed to fundraise, but we're trying to review whether we can increase from one to more than one, maybe one or two in the school vicinity. But outside, they are allowed to fundraise as and when they please.
When you review, have you got timelines for your review? Can you tell me?
For
The fee and other issues that you're looking at, the free education grant, if it is to be increased, because the budget will be coming out next Friday, and in relation to the fundraising, because you're reviewing.
After the budget, we will have to sit down and analyze the impacts of all these free education grants. So the review will take time. If it's not within 6 months, it will be more than 6 months. But once we set on the review, we'll send out a time frame and we will advise you.
And anything before August 1st? Before the
August
new budget?
1st? That's too early.
Well, that's when the new budget year starts for the government.
So the new budget will continue as is, but we'll see how we can improve revising this budget in the next budget by conducting the review after the.
Now, from the Education Act consultation, 1966 Act consultation, a Tavua college teacher told your review team that the students have become lazy when education is free, and that some students take advantage of the system. How do you respond to stakeholders questioning the effectiveness of the free education policy?
That's what I said, that some of the comments that are raised, maybe from teachers themselves or from stakeholders, parents, they are valid concerns, and we are awaiting the final report to be tabled to address all these issues. These are ongoing issues, these are operational issues which we would like to address once we get the final.
From your perspective, have you received any data based on, because the former Fiji First started these free education grants. From then till now, what is the school intake like?
I think I mentioned in Parliament during one of my Parliament speech that number of students enrolled from last year to this year has increased by 5,000. So that's an indication of the effectiveness of this free education grant and what we are currently doing right now.
What about the issue regarding students being lazy? They know their parents don't have to pay any fees.
Well, students
that's from teachers coming through from the Western Division.
I think it's a generalized statement. Students come to school every day. So which day are they referring to? Are they lazy in the whole 8 hours, or?
So you
need specific.
You have looked at the data that students are coming to school every day?
Yes, we have our FEMI's records.
And how does it look like? The absenteeism rate is not high?
I don't have the figures with me right now, but I can give you when I look back at the past how many weeks. Because I think the schools that are connected need to update their records on a daily basis.
We'll be interested in those statistics.
Thank you.
Maybe you can provide it to the people of Fiji. That'll be good.
Sure.
Now, in relation to parents not showing up for school meetings, there's a lot of concerns about that in relation to CAPS meetings, PTA, PTI, and a lot of parents not showing up. If there's 50 students in class, maybe you're lucky if 10 show up. And there's always been a concern, and I'm a witness of that. Yes. I've always gone to that, and I've seen that erode over time, from the early 2000s to now. Things have really changed. And if we are saying it takes a village to raise a child, you need the parents. You need to have parents that they have skin in the game.
Yes.
So, as Education Minister, what's your thoughts on that? What do you want?
As a Ministry of Education, we have a CAPS meeting. It involves parents and students, and some of the parents, they do not attend this CAPS meeting. but there's other options that the teacher could take to visit, make home visit to parents and discuss with them. That is something that is provided to heads of school, teachers in a school to conduct, to assure that they help the students or help the parents in notifying the progress of the students.
Minister, what if there's only 30% of parents show up? 70% don't show up. Do you think your teachers will have time to go to each student?
I think there's ways and means in which teachers conduct this house visitation.
Is it happening?
It is happening to ensure that concerned teachers regarding concerned students discussing with the parents.
So how often does it happen? I mean, is it widespread? I've never heard of this.
Camps meeting?
Home visitations.
I think most of the teachers are doing it on their free time, and I commend them for doing the home visitation, especially for students who really needed intervention from parents. And given that they are understanding that most of the students do, the challenging environment that they come from. So it takes patient teachers to visit parents. Sometimes they go home, the parents are not there, and they come back and they go back another day when the parents are at home.
If you were giving free education, taxpayers' money to the people for their children's education, don't you think there should be some conditions that parents should attend these meetings?
That is why we are currently reviewing the Education Act.
You want that?
The Education Act should address all these issues that reflect the current needs right now.
As a minister, do you want that?
To,
as I asked you, to have that condition that if you get the free education grant, you should attend meetings for your child.
Apart from giving the responsibility to the Ministry of Education and the teachers to look after the child who is enrolled and not attending school, yes, that would be a better option as well.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break.
Vijay Narayan. Watch it live on the Fiji Village Facebook page and YouTube channel.
About 20 years ago, we had a major drug bust, and you would remember, you would have been part of the operations at Laudala Beach. A lot of people in Fiji did not know what was methamphetamine. And what we are picking up on, people are saying it's readily available. Just the issue in relation to General Secretary, was that a tactical move that he ejected himself from Parliament?
Personally, it's unfortunate.
How are you dealing with those police officers who may be allegedly involved in this?
Vijay, no one is above the law.
We assure you that we will be having police officers around.
As a result of that bad policy, by the end of this month, we would have lost close to about $70 million in government revenue.
Bulavinaka, I'm Vijay Narayan. This is Fiji Village Straight Talk.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan. Watch it live on the Fiji Village Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Hey guys, it's Penny and I've got some great news for you. I've got a podcast.
Up. Don't whack heels. We have a podcast.
Isn't that what I said?
You didn't say that. You said I have a podcast.
I
There's no
mean,
I, there's we.
Well, you know, when I'm doing all the talking, it seems like it's my podcast.
Well, because you are so rude. You're not very demure. You don't
maybe
give any
if you
thoughtfulness to me.
contributed something, we
I
would
will
have
contribute.
You know,
You're
like
just
people
not
would have
nice
actually
enough.
remembered you.
They do remember me. They call me the better Lido anyways.
Debatable. That
It's
is
not debatable.
so
It's
debatable.
Well, ladies, get it out. We gotta move ahead now. Back.
What?
I'm sorry, but
keep
who
on move-
asked you?
When were you involved in this
When did this
conversation?
become
Yeah.
a we conversation?
Yo.
Because
Behind
listen,
time, you gotta.
listen,
No, I don't care.
we don't care if
Watch
we're behind
it, okay?
you. Okay?
You're here because of us.
Don't
Let's
talk
never
to us
forget
like
deadline.
that.
Up. Mhm.
I don't care about your Let's get a hold of this guy.
This guy. You really thought?
I'm hungry.
Go eat. Let's go.
Hello, HR.
क्या आप भी परेशान हैं?
क्या आपकी भी लाइफ में ऐसी ही टेंशन है? आपकी परेशानी को कम करने के लिए आ रहा हूँ मैं बहुत ही जल्द आपको हंसाने के लिए। रेडियो सरगम और रेडियो सरगम फेसबुक पेज पर बहुत ही जल्द वहीं पर मिलेंगे। हेलो, अरे यार,
Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight is the Minister for Education and Sodelpa leader, Asaeri Radrodro. And first time on the show, a lot of questions coming from you, which as you would be listening to, that we're getting them addressed. Now, Minister in Ra, your review team was told that the Ministry of Education should come and see the students traveling in overloaded carriers. The woman described even students hanging out of carriers, sitting on top of carriers. What will be done about these type of situations regarding rural transport?
Thank you, Vijay. I wanted to clarify that for transport assistance and transport providers, there are policies that they need to abide by. And the monitoring and implementation of those transport providers entirely depends on them and the assurance to the Ministry of Education, to the respective heads of school, that they will provide the transport according to the policy, which is, one is to always have an adult in the carrier during the transportation time. And second is to ensure that the safety of the students are paramount when they are traveling to and from school. So the onus is on the transport providers to ensure the safety of the students. But sometimes they make their own arrangements. When one provider is unable to pick up the students, they make their own arrangements with other providers, and that led to such incidents, maybe.
The issue is about overcrowding. Maybe we don't have enough rural transport carriers. Could that be the case, and has assessment been made?
For the respective schools that have been providing transportation vouchers, the onus is on the management, the communities, to request transport and get the assistance from the approval from the respective heads of school. So if there is overcrowding of carrier, then the villages, the settlements, they can request for additional carrier to the through the LTA and get recognized and get validated by the heads of school.
So these people in Ra have made that request. Is the ministry looking into that?
Well, if the requests have come through to the headquarters, we will definitely have a look at it.
We wouldn't want a disaster to happen, a child falling off a carrier, sitting on top of the carrier. When I heard that, that's quite concerning.
It is. It is our responsibility as well to ensure that the transport providers do provide safety for the children. So if they are not doing that, then there is a violation of the trust that we have, the policy that we have with the transport providers.
So someone from your ministry is stepping in, or have you stepped in to look into the issue?
We have already advised our RA office to look into the issue that has been highlighted, overcrowding, and we will advise, and they have taken corrective measures to ensure that the transport providers does not continue loading excess passengers.
Now, regarding shortage of teachers, we had a student of Moira Methodist College that was in relation to the consultation in Lautoka. He highlighted their class, they do not have enough subject teachers, and sometimes one teacher is covering multiple subjects. While giving an experience the students face, he said last year they did not have a life maths teacher to provide support to the students, and it resulted in a low percentage pass of 21%. He said the students were eager, there was no teacher.
And I thank the student for highlighting this concern. I think across the Ministry of Education there are certain teaching specialists that is in dire need, especially for maths, especially for TVET subjects, for computer subjects, for PMEC. So these are the areas where Ministry of Education is in need of teachers. We are taking approaches to try and enroll students in the last year at the training institutions to come and partake in the teaching profession whilst continuing to complete their study journey.
Do you have a shortage of teachers?
We have shortage of teachers, and we have highlighted this, especially on STEM subject, maths, PMAC, and computer. And we cannot provide teachers if the training institutions cannot graduate teachers in those specific subjects.
How many teachers do you need?
We have shortages of teachers in the primary school.
How many? What are the
currently,
numbers?
we are recruiting secondary school teacher graduates to teach in primary schools. I think it has come down from 600 to 400. And the other specific subject, maths, computer.
So you're saying what you need 400 teachers?
Primary school teachers.
It's filled now.
It's currently filled by secondary school graduates. So these are two different levels of teaching criteria.
So we're trying to, is it a band-aid solution?
Yes, because there is a lack of supply.
Are they able to teach properly at the primary school level?
Yes, they are doing their best. They have been assessed regularly at the school level by the various heads of school, and we will continue to assist. Some have sort of requested that they be given the opportunity to teach at the secondary school level. So these are all the solutions to try and address the teacher shortage. Like I said, more teachers have also migrated. Some have also come back. When we started, we revised the policy from 55 years age, the coalition government, from age 55 to 60, retirement age, in the hope that we will address the teacher needs. And also we've brought back those who were terminated through no job. So these are the solutions. And also we try to engage those that have been out of service, that wishes to currently enter the Ministry of Education. So these are some of the strategies that we're doing, in addition to taking in graduates from secondary school to primary, and hopefully we will try to mitigate these shortages. As you might also be aware, at the beginning of this year, we have undertaken the interview process for teacher trainee to try and direct interested students to these areas of shortages. And we hopefully that when they finish, they'll start to fill in the shortages.
Because the concerning thing is that these people, at the end of the day, the students are getting the short end of the stick. They're getting, percentage pass rates of 21%, and because they do not have a teacher in the classroom. I've got some other information here about students or parents raising issues about teachers not in their classroom. There's some about a history teacher at LMC, I believe that's Lotoka Muslim College. They haven't had a history teacher from week 7 of term 1. It has now been 12 weeks, they say, since that resignation, and including the 2-week term 1 break. Total of 14 weeks have passed without a replacement being assigned. I believe there's more stories like this.
There's more stories regarding teacher needs in schools. During my visitation, they've also highlighted. So we're trying to improve our HR processes to address this on a timely basis.
Now, the Nandarivatu High School principal told your review team that school inspections have not taken place for quite some time, despite ministry promises, and that new teaching graduates are very poor at school management. Why has this basic quality assurance system not been maintained?
Well, I have to get the details of those claims by the teacher, because I think last year we had visited the Nandarivatu schools and also the schools in the Highlands. So we'll have to get the proper details in terms of the visitation from headquarters and also probably from the divisional and district offices.
But you have a system in place.
Yes.
You should have visits.
Yes.
Which includes checking how the teachers are teaching as well.
Yes.
How often do you get the reports? You as minister, when does it come to your table that, okay, this is how the
I
state
usually
is?
have conducted my briefing with the team on a fortnightly basis, and this is the time that I get updated on all the informations happenings around the country.
What are you doing to improve teacher efficiency? There's been things that are being shared now that some teachers are not at that standard of teaching, and now you have AI and others that students have access to, and if the teacher is not keeping abreast with all the information and what's happening, they're caught in a wrong situation in a classroom.
I think that's a very valid concern, Satish. When we started, there is a lot of issues that have been raised regarding teachers. So when we started, we had to introduce teacher workshops, teacher symposiums, and a lot of training to be given to teachers. We even applied and got the annual teacher congress to try and get teachers to mingle on a regular basis and also share the areas of concerns and the visitation too that we are currently doing. Besides, that is a very good question also, because I asked the same question: how do you monitor the teacher efficiency in a school? So I think there's tools that are there that the head of school, the VP, the AP need to play their part. The head of school, head of department they have a monitoring tool that they have to adhere to, and we hope that this is something that they are currently doing, even though some schools they have difficulties, they have challenges in terms of the monitoring system that they need to implement. So overall, each and every head of school around Fiji, they all have a monitoring tool that they need to adhere to, that they need to follow in monitoring the performances of the teacher. And each teacher are expected to perform, to prepare lessons in every classes that they attend.
You're watching Fiji Village Street Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan, and our guest tonight is the Minister for Education, Asaeri Radrodro. A Tavua secondary school teacher informed the consultation that majority of students in secondary schools cannot read and write English, described encountering non-readers and students who can read but are unable to comprehend. We know of this situation as well, that the question keeps coming up: how come the students have reached high school and they're still unable to read? What type of work is going into that kind of situation?
I think right now the issues that has been implemented by the Ministry of Education is to have our curriculum education officers visiting schools, training teachers, and also some schools that we visited, they assured us that they set up special education time, English time, to allow the students to help them understand and read properly. So these are some of the initiatives that each school had implementing in their respective school to ensure that they improve on these non-reading students.
Are we bringing back the repeat policy?
We are currently in the process with the intention to do that exactly, but the process of trying to do the consultation with stakeholders and get the necessary approval before submitting to Cabinet. Hopefully we will submit to Cabinet by August. So 2026, the automatic progression will be repealed and or probably an option will be given.
What is the Ministry's comprehensive strategy for integrating technology into education, including specific budget allocations, timelines, and how will the technology gap between urban and rural schools be addressed?
That is one of the thematic areas identified in the Denarau declarations, the need for our education system to push towards a digital platform. As you said, connectivity is an issue. We are starting to distribute the Starlink services to schools in the outer islands upon request, upon identification by our e-learning department to try and assist students' connectivity. Then we have a huge responsibility. We have now secure the services of LMS, learning management system, an online system, a digital platform. But we also have a responsibility to teach, provide the training to teachers so they can be able to understand and use this platform in an efficient and effective manner.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break. 20 years ago, we had a major drug bust, and you would remember, you would have been part of the operations at Laudala Beach. A lot of people in Fiji did not know what was methamphetamine. And what we are picking up on, people are saying it's readily available. Just the issue in relation to General Secretary, was that a tactical move that he ejected himself from Parliament?
Personally, it's unfortunate.
How are you dealing with those police officers who may be allegedly involved in this?
We assure you that we will be having police officers around.
As a result of that bad policy, by the end of this month, we would have lost close to about $70 million in government revenue.
Bula Vinaka, I am Vijay Narayan. This is Fiji Village Straight Talk.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan. Watch it live on the Fiji Village Facebook page and YouTube channel.
क्या आप भी परेशान हैं? क्या आपकी भी लाइफ में ऐसी ही टेंशन है? आपकी परेशानी को कम करने के लिए आ रहा हूं मैं बहुत ही जल्द आपको हंसाने के लिए। रेडियो सरगम और रेडियो सरगम फेसबुक पेज पर बहुत ही जल्द वहीं पर मिलेंगे। हेलो, अरे यार।
Hey guys, it's Penny and I've got some great news for you. I've got a podcast.
Don't whack heels. We have a podcast.
Isn't that what I said?
You didn't say that. You said I have a podcast.
I
There's no
mean,
I, there's we.
Well, you know, when I'm doing all the talking, it seems like it's my podcast.
Well, because you are so rude. You're not very demure. You don't
maybe
give any
if you
thoughtfulness to me.
contributed something, we
I
would
do
have
contribute.
You know, like
You're just
people
not
would have
nice
actually
enough.
remembered you.
They do remember me. They call me the Berolino anyways.
Debatable. That
It's
is
not debatable.
so
It's
Well, ladies,
debatable.
get it out. We gotta move ahead now. Back.
I'm sorry, but
keep
who
on move-
asked you?
When were you involved in this
When did this
conversation?
become a
Yeah.
we conversation?
Yeah.
Because
Behind
listen,
time, we gotta.
listen,
No, I don't care.
we don't care if
Watch
we're behind
it, okay?
you. Okay?
You're here because of us.
Don't
Let's
talk
never
to us
forget
like
deadline.
that. I don't care about your Let's get a load of this guy. This guy. He really thought. I'm hungry. Go eat. Let's go.
Hello, HR.
Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight is the Minister for Education and Sadel Palida Asaeri Radrodro. Mr. Radrodro, does the Education Ministry have any plans with the police, or do you have plans already to make checks in schools regarding drugs? We are finding all sorts of drugs in school compounds at the moment. There's concerns being raised that some dealers are using children to peddle drugs in schools as well. What is being done to handle the situation?
Thank you, Vijay. Currently, we have a policy in place where all issues are identified and highlighted in schools regarding children caught with drugs. They are currently being referred to the National Substance Abuse. So we are waiting for the substance abuse. We had requested that they form a task force with the other ministries and departments of government to see how best we can tackle this. Besides that, we are also considering implementing checks in schools, and we have also made some calls because of visitations from experts abroad who have brought in some testing kits, but we will have to work with other ministries and departments to try and implement this, awaiting the advice from the National Substance Abuse, who is the relevant arm of the Ministry of Education.
Real concern about drugs being taken into school compounds. You've stated, and the Prime Minister had also stated this earlier, that we should do bag checks. Have you sent out a message to all schools that they should have bag checks?
Yes, like I said, we are awaiting the advice from the National Substance Abuse as the arm of Ministry of Education to provide us the actual application of bag checks. As you know, we are dealing with young children. Everything that we will have to do, we are required to get parental consent. So the process is going to take a bit of time to get parental consent. But sometimes the policy that is in house exposing students with drugs. So we have a policy, as I said, to allow us to refer these students to the National Substance Abuse to carry out the necessary sessions of counseling and the recommendation of what to do to the child.
The National Substance Abuse Advisory Council, based in Nasinu, is quite under-resourced. I know it's from many years ago, and they also had a presentation where they talked about the lack of counselors and what we need to do to keep on track with the situation that has escalated. What is being done about that?
Well, we understand that, agree, and that the National Substance Abuse is under-resourced, but we have also counselors, trained counselors, teachers who are currently teaching, and that is something that we are trying to appoint them as counselors in the various districts, various divisions, to assist the national councils in terms of human resource.
And the issue regarding repeated indiscipline, what is the policy? Is that being reviewed as well? Because in the past we know there was a policy of suspension, warning, suspension, detention, and then expulsion.
Find another school, as they say.
So you have find another school.
FAS.
Shift the problem elsewhere.
Yeah, that is the problem.
Do you agree with that?
I think most importantly, Vijay, is to see that we cannot put the blame on the Ministry of Education alone. Issues of drugs, they come from communities, as you highlighted, that it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a community. So it is a shared responsibility between all stakeholders of education, and that is why we are awaiting the advice from the National Substance Abuse regarding the National Drug Task Force. It will be involving all stakeholders, other ministries, the police, and departments, and other stakeholders like the school authorities, the faith-based organization, to be part of this, to see how best we can address these drugs used in school.
Apart from drugs, indiscipline generally, we had also in one of the consultations one teacher talking about even ECE children, even swearing at teachers. Concerns regarding the behavior reaching down to that level, and they are unable to do anything. How do you have, or do you have systems in place to deal with these types of situations?
Well, as you might be aware, to start off with, we introduced the school chaplaincy in schools this year in the hope that this will be addressed at the school level. But we introduced it on a cost-sharing basis. So now the chaplains have also undertaken counseling in school to try and address this issue. But at the same time, Vijay, like I said, it's a shared responsibility, and Ministry of Education cannot just be the lone ministry to be looking after the concerns regarding the indiscipline of students. These students come from home, and that's what I've always been reminding parents and stakeholders. whatever the situation, that the student leave home, the first person to notice it would be the teacher in the classroom. And therefore it places a huge burden on the teacher to conduct its work efficiently as a teacher, conducting a big number of students teach, and each indisciplined student faces a challenge in terms of the teacher conducting his work efficiently and effectively during the day.
The other issue is bullying, and you've been to boarding school, QVS. There's a real concern about bullying, and there's some sad situations that emerged. In the past few months, you had also made strong statements and called for even investigating authorities, even the ODPP, to be involved in it. Nothing came out of that, and we've heard that there have been other incidents that have followed. The culture continues. What is being done about that?
The issue of bullying is a real issue. Even though I've stated that we do not condone bullying in schools, but that continues till today. So we are asking the heads of school to conduct a monitoring role to not allow situations where bullying can be allowed in schools or in situations. So we hope that the onus is on the school heads, the onus is on the teachers in school. As you know, bullying can happen anywhere, even in boarding schools, even in day scholar schools. So the huge responsibility of monitoring the students is given to the heads of school and the teachers in their respective schools to ensure the safety and well-being of the children. We have policies in place that addresses indisciplined students, but is it working? Maybe not.
It's not working.
Maybe it's working.
Well, I got another report from some parents at QVS that there was another incident recently. Yeah. So if you continue to get reports, the question is, what type of action can be taken? What's the system? If a child is found repeatedly to be bullied, and in the end even ending up in hospital, what's the strategy, or what's the system at the moment?
I think the system at the moment, where incidences where students are caught, the policy is that they are referred to the National Substance Abuse, where counseling. But we're trying to review that. Instead of waiting for events to happen, maybe we can provide counseling during school periods, during times where students need to be counseled. And that is why we have recruited school chaplains to provide this at the school level and try and prevent bullying from happening.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight is the Minister for Education and Sodelpa leader Asaeri Radrodro. Mr. Radrodro, you would know that children as young as 14 years old are now contracting HIV. The latest statistics that we see from last year is that we have 50% of the HIV cases, the new HIV cases, are through injectable drugs, and 90% of those cases are ETOK from 20 to 29 years old. We definitely have come into a place where the health minister is saying we have an epidemic. Now, what is the Ministry of Education doing in terms of understanding that we are staring right at the epidemic? We need family health education, and I believe there is one, there's a curriculum, and whether that curriculum is suited to make sure that our young men and women understand the choices that they're making.
Thank you. As you rightly stated, we have the curriculum, but these issues are emerging issues that occur regularly. As a Ministry of Education, like I said, we cannot take the blame alone. We are working with other ministries and departments to try and address this. And also, we have to reiterate that the call for takes a village to raise a child. It is everyone's responsibility to ensure that we look after our children.
I'm not putting the blame on the Ministry of Education, but I'm saying what are you doing about it? Because as I said, it takes leaders to make change. What are you doing to make change?
Well, we are, as you said, providing the necessary curriculum, the subject taught in schools, but whether those curriculums are relevant to these emerging issues, that is something that we will need to review and ensure, because development of curriculum subject is not an overnight a process. It takes time and takes teachers to be taught and students to understand the provision of necessary subjects in schools.
We need to be urgently looking at that. We already have an epidemic in our hands, Minister.
Yes, we'll take that into
So
consideration.
do you have a timeline in place?
Like I said, we will have to see the review of the National Curriculum Framework, and all these emerging issues will have to be taken into consideration as part of the subject that will be given to the students in school.
And you said it will be this year. Now, there's a few people who have sent information about alleged corruption in schools, how the AGMs have been done and other things. It's I'm letting you all know who sent those, that I have them here, and I'll be passing it on to the Minister for Education to look at. There's some being sent about Andrews Primary School, Samambula Primary, there's many other schools there, and it's for you to verify, to look at that. Now, e-transport, many continue to raise concerns about people affected by lack of recharge stations and all platforms not being able to top up except through M-Pesa. What are your comments regarding that?
I think the issue of e-transport card and the top-up is currently with the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister, who's currently looking at ensuring accessibility, and I believe he's dealing with these issues currently.
Do you get e-transport card related issues for your students a lot?
Yes, mostly regarding run out of cash during the school term, instead of that taking them right to the end of the term. So those are the many issues. Some also regarding missing cards during the school term. They need to take their renewed cards back to the school so they can access and record this new card number, so they can be given the accessibility to use the card under the redeem card basis.
There's questions being raised, allegations of you trying to interfere in the Fiji Secondary School's Dean's competition. What's your comments to those people who are raising that?
I think, Satish, thank you very much for highlighting that. As you said, Fiji Secondary School, so anything regarding the mandate of the students in Fiji, we have a duty of care to play, to ensure that the students' safety and well-being are maintained, and they don't get burned out during their academic journey. So by right, every activity that is under the Ministry of Education, the students, the school, comes under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Education.
Education Act consultation, you have continued with that. When will this finish, and when do we expect the
We are setting a timeline of August 2025 to present this in Parliament. Prior to that, we'll have to present it to Cabinet. So we are working towards achieving that deadline, and that is something that currently in progress.
Why there are so many secondary school teachers teaching in primary schools? This is a question that was sent in, and they're classified as not qualified teachers because they receive less salaries, though they do the same work as a normal teacher. Maybe a teacher sent this.
Yeah, maybe a teacher sent that. That's what I wanted to ask. The answer that I can give is, I think there's two different teaching scenarios for a primary school teacher who has a whole day teaching a class, and a secondary school teacher teaches subjects by say certain period of the subject.
Should the Minister for Education be more directly responsible for the Higher Education Commission for seamless education in Fiji from primary school to tertiary education? Again, a question sent in to ensure there's seamless progression.
Currently, the Higher Education Act, Education Commission Act, comes under the ambit and the responsibility of the Minister for Education.
So they report directly to
They
you.
report directly.
There you go, that's your answer for that. How is the Education Ministry dealing with school-age children on the streets? Should the ministry employ officers to ensure children are not hanging around on the streets and attend school?
Like I said, for those school children that are outside of the jurisdictions of a school system, they do not fall under the Ministry of Education. Probably they fall under the police department. So that is something that we would like to explore with the police. And the act, revised act, hopefully will consider empowering schools, empowering teachers to get those students to school.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight is the Minister for Education in Sodelpa Leader, Asaeri Radrodro. Just going through your questions. We're just about to finish off the show.
Yeah.
Should students who damage the school property pay for the damages? That was also sent in.
I think during our time we usually pay some deposits, refundable deposit, to compensate for any damage that we do at the school infrastructure or school textbooks if you don't return. So those funds are there to compensate for the damage that you do to the school.
Now we know, Minister, that we're going into the budget next Friday.
Yes.
You definitely have given your wish list to the Minister for Finance,
Yes.
and hoping that you get additional funding most likely. What are some of the areas that you are personally looking at, hoping to get additional funding to continue your work?
Well, thank you, Vijay. Thank you for asking me those questions. I have already stated that areas of concern, areas of priorities for Ministry of Education is the retention of teachers. So hopefully we get proper budget allocation for our teachers from ECE to primary school to secondary school, and also for those special inclusive education schools and teachers to be provided the necessary resources. We also are targeting the technical vocational. Hopefully we get the right amount in terms of allowing us to provide this technical vocational education. I think we have not touched on that. So technical vocational, if you give me a time to elaborate on that, that would be an option for students who do not wish to pursue academic journey pathways. That is an option that is available to them. We're trying to implement this from year 9 and certificate them as we progress throughout the education journey of a child, to ensure that they remain in school but get the proper necessary certificate in the areas of expertise, areas of carpentry and joinery, areas in tourism, and areas in automotive engineering. So these are some of the options, and we hope that we will get the necessary support. Apart from that, like you mentioned, infrastructure upgrade. So hopefully we can get the budget allocation. As I said, this year was 9 million. Hopefully we can get it the same amount or even more to allow us to conduct the repairs and maintenance, the upgrade of the respective schools around Fiji. Nawalev.
Minister, you're also a leader of Sodelpa, and it would be only right for me to ask you that we are almost 1 year away from elections, the earliest possible dates, I think around August next year. Sodelpa already in planning stages in terms of candidates?
Yes, Vijay, our main focus right now is to work with in the coalition government to allow our term to complete. At the same time, we are getting ready for 2026.
And you'll go on your own in the next elections, or you'll go in with parties like People's Alliance, etc.?
For a decision like that, we'll have to await the management board decision.
When will that be made?
That will come when we'll let you know when we'll make the decision.
Mr. Radrodro, thank you very much for accepting our invitation to come on our show tonight and to address the many issues that the Ministry of Education has to look at, and a lot of questions sent through. As I said, hundreds of questions that come through, and thank you again for your questions that you sent through, and we managed to get through all the questions, plus Your issues that you've got, I've got them here, which I will pass to the Minister as well. Again, thank you very much, Minister, on behalf of all our listeners and viewers. And until next week, have a great evening.
Nawalevo. That's it.
Nawalevo.